So you're on a sales call and you're getting towards the end and you ask the dreaded, have any questions? And wham, do they? And their questions are usually in the form of objections. And before you know it, all of a sudden it's been great, but they're throwing out all these question objections and you don't know what to do. So it goes nowhere. They leave it as, oh, I have to talk to somebody, or I need to check my bank account and I'll get back to you. And you never hear from them again. If this is something that you've experienced, congratulations, you're not alone. Most of us have. I am here to help you turn those objections around and actually make them the strongest buying points for you. So I have a few different ones. We'll go over 5 today, and I'll give you some potential flips or perspective changers and some phrases you can use when these come up as well. First, let's talk about why you might freeze or get panicked on these calls in the first place. And the number one thing I want to bring up is just to remember that it's not personal. Let's break down the first objection. The first one you're going to hear very frequently is going to be the, it's too expensive. And this can happen for a couple of reasons. They might just not see the value in what you're offering yet compared to how they've been doing it. They could also be comparing it with other offers. And it is your job to show them why you are the best at what you do and why you are the right fit for them. Here's how we're going to handle this. The next time this comes up, you're going to help them get really clear. So when they say, I don't know, it's too expensive, what you're going to do is affirm, you heard what they said, a little bit of active listening. I get it, price is a concern for you. But let me ask you this, how much is it costing you in lost money or time to stay where you're at? You can also take kind of the opposite approach for this as well. And you could help them change the perspective on, yep, I get it. This is definitely an investment. But how many clients would you need to sign per month in order to make up the difference? And help them see like, oh, well, really, it's only I need 1 or 2 clients a month. And I always get, easily 3 or 4 clients a month. So if I use that time I would have spent on, say, my bookkeeping and focus on closing 1 or 2 more clients, then this is paid for itself and they have a couple new long-term clients. So helping them shift the perspective on what they're saving versus what they can even go out and earn because they're also saving are going to be really influential ways that you can stay curious, but also help them see that this is probably the right decision for them, which is why you're there at the end of the day, to make sure this is a good fit and actually beneficial for both of you. All right, let's move on to the next one. And this is a big one, and it's so easy because we all use it in so many facets of our life just to kind of get out of conversations. I know I've used it to get out of conversations I don't want to be in anymore. And that is I need to think about it. And this can happen for a few different reasons. They might be really in just like kind of analysis paralysis, and they might feel they need to think about it. They might be very new to whatever it is that you do, and they might need to do some more research. How you're going to handle this objection is you are going to pinpoint what the actual hesitation is. Just out of curiosity, what do you need to think about in order to make this decision? Tonality can be really important here. So practice saying it a few times to yourself in the mirror, out loud, a spouse, a friend. You want to make sure that tone is genuinely curious and know that these are points that you need to probably bring up earlier on in the conversation. So it's not something that they're hesitating on now. Because until you ask them the question, they might not even know what their questions are. So always ask, what is it you need to think about? All right, now let's talk about another classic, and that is the I don't have the time. And when people say they don't have the time, it's usually more a matter of they're not willing to make the time, or they don't think they are just yet. And again, you can also take kind of the flip approach to this as well. instead of helping them work through, like, well, what is it you don't have the time for? What do you have the time for? You can flip their perspective with something like, hey, this is not about adding to your plate. Whatever time they're spending doing the thing that you could be doing for them, what are they losing out on during that time? It's a really good perspective changer for them as well, to see what it's actually costing them. They can make a little bit of time for you to onboard them, save a lot of time, potentially make more money later down the road. Now, here's one I know you've heard before, and I bet we've all used it, whether it's been true or not. And that is I need to talk to my partner, spouse, boss, manager, whatever the case may be. And maybe it's a polite no. Maybe they're just not confident making decisions for themselves or making decisions alone. You can give them confidence to make the decision themselves, but also give them more details. So when they talk to somebody, they're pretty much already talked into it. And they're almost just letting the other person know, hey, I'm doing this because X, Y, Z. And then they're ready to answer all their questions. So that's the way I like to handle this one is, you need to talk to X, Y, and Z. You need to talk to so-and-so. Cool. Totally get it. I always talk to my husband, my business partner, or whatever, before I make a decision over X amount of dollars too. Just out of curiosity, what questions do you think they're going to have? Again, this is kind of like before, where it was, what do you need to think about? What questions do you think they'll have? Helps you understand what questions the person you're talking to has, because they haven't talked to the other person yet. These are all their own. They're just thinking about it from the perspective of that other person. All right, now let's talk about number 5, possibly the biggest, most complex objection that you won't really hear. And that's why it's the biggest and most complex. And that is I don't think this will work for me. Because if they didn't think your services would do something for them, they would not have gotten on the call. It's way too easy and way too passive to cancel calls nowadays. You just go into the description, you click cancel, bing, bing, boom, it's all done. If they actually took the time to get on the call, if they are staying on the call, didn't make up an excuse, have to go run, take this call, client call, whatever, they want what you're offering, but they're not necessarily confident in their ability to follow through, or they're not sure that this is right for them. They aren't convinced that this will get them the results that they're looking for. Asking them repeatedly, what questions do you have? And things like that. Just really going through and answering all their questions is helpful. Building their confidence in their own abilities can be really helpful as well, because this means I'm going to help you follow through. It means whatever it means to them that you're actually able to help them with. One of the best things you can do if somebody still seems hesitant, which basically if they're anything other than a hell yes, and here's my money, take it, then they have a little bit of hesitation. So one of the things you can do here is bring up some testimonials, case studies, success stories, things like that. I had a client similar to you a few years ago. Would it help if I sent over a testimonial for them? Would it help if you could talk to them, if they're open to that? And going through those different things can really help put people's minds at ease. Now that you have the most common objections, how to flip them, how to switch them to being actually in your favor, because they give you an opportunity to clarify, I want to give you a little bit of homework. I want you to figure out what are your 2 most common objections. And this might be from networking conversations. These might not even be discovery or sales calls where you're getting these. In all of your meetings in the last couple weeks and for the next couple of weeks, write down what point was an objection. At what point in the conversation do you feel like you lost them? Or at what point did they say something and you got that, oh crap, kind of feeling where I don't know what to say? Write that down for the last 2 weeks and the next 2 weeks. Really keep an ear out for that, and that will help you understand where you need to adjust your messaging earlier in the conversation as well. And of course, I really want you to remember that objections are very rarely actually rejections. They are just unanswered questions. So they're an opportunity for you to keep connecting with that person you're talking to, while also not being attached to the outcome, because now you're going to be a whole lot better at sales. You're not going to be desperate to land every single client, every single discovery call. If by chance you do want a little bit of help with that, or want to go through a kind of custom plan, want some help writing those scripts that you're going to practice, then there is a link below where you can book a free one-to-one with me, and I am happy to help you come up with a custom sales or networking plan and work through some of those questions, scripts, or even figure out if there is another point in the process where things maybe are going a little haywire. Just remember, most people struggle with objections because they don't prepare. You are now prepared, and you're going to go practice and get even more prepared. With that, thank you all for tuning in today. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave those down below as well. And as always, stay focused, y'all.